especially these male movie stars who think they're blues artists. You ever see these guys? Don't you just want to puke in your soup when one of these fat, balding, overweight, overaged, out-of-shape, middle-aged male movie stars with sunglasses jumps on stage and starts blowing into a harmonica? It's a fucking sacrilege. In the first place, white people got no business playing the blues ever, at all, under any circumstances. Ever. What the fuck do white people have to be blue about? Banana Republic ran out of khakis? The espresso machine is jammed? Hootie and the Blowfish are breaking up? Shit, white people ought to understand their job is to give people the blues, not to get them. And certainly not to sing or play them.
DSP does not understand the concept of dark humor. DSP's life has been video games and WWE. When it comes to telling jokes, they can often be relatable, from everyday problems like being stuck in the checkout line to something political. Phil, on the other hand, doesn't have the basic life experience to be able to exaggerate and tell a joke successfully. Whenever Phil's caught up with a racial comment he made during a stream or a let's play, his immediate defense is calling it dark humor.
About it, you'll be fine. So I signed up with Stream Elements. You know, here we are. A year and a half I've been using them. Never a problem. Okay, never a problem. Now the thing is, I know that I get falsely reported all the time. All right? But it just so happened that there was a person who false reported me, okay, during my day off 2 days ago. And they did it on Twitter via the Stream Element S account, which is their Stream Element support account. And they literally linked to something from 13 years ago. I wish I could make this up, but they linked to a video of me playing Left 4 Dead 1 13 years ago. Okay? That's just insane. They're actually saying that I'm going to be canceled today for someone who I was 13 years ago, even though I've actively come out so many times over the years apologizing for the things I said and did in my early days on YouTube. I totally understand now how wrong those things were, and I told you guys repeatedly what the deal was with that. Okay, that it was bad. I've changed. My content today is very different, you know. So please forgive me, and I promise I won't do that stuff anymore, right? And if you take a look, in the last 5 years, I've been a full-time streamer. Am I perfect? No. Every once in a while, I get angry and I'll say something wrong. You know, the funny part is the things that people say, oh, it's offensive or whatever. It's not. You know, like dark humor is not offensive and cancelable. It's just dark. If I'm making a joke in a playthrough recently about, you know, children being kidnapped and sold into slavery by corrupt cops, it's a joke. It's not meant to be real. It's a dark joke. There's nothing wrong with that. It's dark humor. Maybe you think it's not funny, but that's not something that's wrong, offensive, or cancelable. It's just a dark joke, okay? Doesn't mean, because I'm joking about it happening, the villains of the game are doing heinous things. I make a joke about something else heinous they could be doing, doesn't mean I support child slavery. You're an idiot if you believe that. But this is what it is. These idiots, what they do is they actually will do that, right? They'll actually say, oh, you know, Phil meant it, and this is what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's emphasis on dark humor. And it's not something that I even do all the time, and every once in a while I'm going to make jokes like that. You know, no one has a problem with it. I've been on YouTube for 14 years. Even the things I said 13 plus years ago, right? All they do is they flag the video and say, oh, it's an adult-rated video or whatever. They're not going to ban me from YouTube for dark humor and things that I did 13 years ago. And certainly nothing that I have done recently has been deemed as anything wrong either. Because I purposely go out of my way to make sure that there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying and doing on my streams. You know what I'm saying?
Dark humor can also be known as black comedy or gallows humor. It's a genre of comedy, and it's fairly natural for people to make some light jokes on subjects that are considered taboo. But when it comes to Phil, and when he tries to be funny, nothing sticks. If he thinks something is funny, he'll often repeat it 2 or 3 times, and a lot of the time, it's just racist. Phil also uses the excuse that his humor is for teens. even though YouTube flags his videos as inappropriate for younger audiences. The clip DSP was referencing to was the slave trade clip, where it was also brought up during the Sidescrollers interview.
Trying to change the perception around me. But the problem is, it wouldn't matter if I went away for 2 months and rebooted my channel and renamed it or whatever. There is such an overwhelming stigma against me on the internet that it wouldn't work. These trolls would just follow me no matter where I go, what I do, no matter how much I change. They don't want to believe it, or they pretend like the change hasn't happened so that they can keep rolling on with their hate trains. And, you know, it sucks. I would love to do a full reboot and rename DSP Gaming. It wouldn't matter. Within a day, that's DSP Gaming. Don't be fooled. It's the same guy. You know, so I have tried to change and do better things and make more laid back content. You watch my content today, way less of that rage kind of stuff, way more chill content, interactive stuff, meaningful content with my viewers, I feel. But the stigma remains.
Well, let's talk about something real quick that can add to that stigma, right? And I think this is important. You said the light bulb went off, you know, about a year ago. You got to change. You changed your background and stuff. But I want to bring up, like, there's still jokes that are made that that don't necessarily, like, they don't fit today. And I want to play one for you really quick and just kind of get your reaction to this. Okay, so this is yeah. So you know where this is going, and I want to watch this so we all understand what's going on here.
Make this quick. All right, boys, prepare the slave trade. We're selling her right off for profit. You know how much I love you, right?
All the way to the moon.
Scared that you I ain't going back, Jake.
Okay.
Put the kid in the vehicle. Stay with her.
Right, she's too valuable to escape. She's worth lots of money.
That's
Okay.
fucked up.
Yeah. So what's going on there, man? Like, let's talk about that. Like, how does that when you
That's too
see
far.
that? When you see that, how does that make you feel? What are you thinking? Do you regret that, saying that? Like, is that edgy humor?
Well, first of all, I have an honest question for you guys. You now seen it. I don't know if Adam has ever seen that clip before. Okay.
No, I
Is that
haven't.
the first time? Okay. What do you think the joke was there? I'm just curious. What do you think I was trying to joke about?
That you're selling that girl to the slave trade?
Okay.
That's what it sounded like, and that's pretty fucked up.
Okay. Now, from what reference do you think? How can I say this? Okay, I'll approach it from the detractor perspective. Okay, from the detractor perspective.
No,
the
I want to
joke-
hear your perspective of what you
Yeah.
meant.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do both.
It's
We'll do both.
pretty obvious what the detractors mean. Like for me, that would have put me on the detractor side because it sounds like you were making a joke about selling that little girl to the slave trade. How is it not that? Like, what did you mean?
Oh no,
that
that's absolutely that's the joke. But there's a difference between saying that's okay and it's funny, or the ridiculousness of the situation. See, you just saw that clip completely out of context, correct? You don't know what's going on in the game right there.
Okay, explain the context then.
That sheriff is a corrupt sheriff. He is actually orchestrating a situation to try to murder people inside a building to protect his secrets. He's like a dark guy who controls the whole town, and no one knows this. Everyone thinks the sheriff's a squeaky clean guy. So this is being revealed throughout the plot of the game. He's a scumbag, right? So the joke is, this guy's such a scumbag. He's saying to the dad, I'm going to save your daughter. Give me your daughter. Let's take him in and rescue her. But in reality, he's such a scumbag, he'd probably do something like that. He'd probably, traffic people. That's the joke. Now, is it a joke that's acceptable by today's standards? By 80% of people, probably not. I agree with you.
Do you think that's a joke? Like, do you think that's a joke acceptable by any standards? I don't.
Even a decade ago, 2
Right.
decades ago, 3 decades
Like,
ago.
And
I
and
think-
it's like, I just want to hear your thoughts on that, because I think there's edgy content, then there's inappropriate content, and we've all been guilty of edgy content before, So
I think it's dark humor. It's definitely skirting the risque. Okay, not to say that I've heard much worse, obviously, from other people, but that doesn't make it okay for me to do it. I know that. And there's
well,
things-
especially with what's following you around, your reputation, right? Do you think that if the light truly went off in your head to say like, I gotta change, don't you think it would be like, well, maybe I should bite my tongue on this one? I may be thinking it, but how about I bite my tongue on this?
Yes, I 100% agree with you. And it's a working process. It's something that has to happen naturally over time. It's not something that can be a switch that's flipped because, you know, again, I was someone who's done this for 15 years back in the day. That's what people came to watch. That's the content they wanted from me. That's what got me popular on YouTube. That kind of ridiculous, unacceptable, over-the-top, dark humor joke, okay? Today, it's not acceptable. I know that. But the thing is, those jokes still click in my head. I absolutely should have not done that joke. I will tell you that right now, 1,000,000%.
I hope I haven't offended anyone with any of the subject. No, I do. I do. That's not the point. I don't try and offend. If I have offended anyone, and I'm sure I have, I don't apologise. No, I think you shouldn't. You have to be able to justify everything you do. And I just think that a comedian should take you to taboo places you haven't been before. Otherwise, you could do it yourself. There's enough anodyne comedy out there just doing things, obvious stuff that, you know, doesn't make, you know, any difference at all. And there's this spate of comedians saying sorry when they go too far. I just think, you know, they go, oh, sorry, I didn't mean it. Well, you should know better then. There's also a witch hunt at the moment with people saying, oh, is there anything you shouldn't make a joke about? No, there's nothing you shouldn't joke about. It depends what the joke is.
If the girl was white, the joke wouldn't be made. Bill calls himself an opportunity offender, makes jokes on every race and religion. We rarely get jokes against white people. You're not George Carlin or Ricky Gervais, even though you look like him. A good joke doesn't need to be explained with the context. It requires a setup, then a punchline. DSP will always bring up the abusive boyfriend speech. I've changed. I'm different now. I'm trying to be better. Then everything just goes back to the way it was. Every time. Modern DSP is always in conflict with past DSP, trying to retcon all of his mistakes and giving out excuses why the racial stereotypes were said.
Giant fucking wrench.
You need to pay attention out here.
You need to pay attention out here, buddy. Would you like pork fried rice? Oh my god, so racist. See now, once again, back then, this is very old. This is 2010, so this is over 13 years ago was when this playthrough was. It was actually, this playthrough happened when I had lost my job, and so this was one of the first playthroughs I had done, okay? So this is like 13 years ago. Back then, that kind of humor, no one was offended. No one. No one came to my videos and were flagged saying, oh my god, I can't believe that he said that in the video. It's so offensive to this culture or that culture. No, everyone liked it. They thought it was funny. YouTube was a different place back then. And then over the years, people get more and more sensitive, and they can't take that kind of humor anymore. Now, keep in mind something. Back then, I was playing for myself. Really. Even though, obviously, people were going to watch the videos. There was no live audience. There was no interaction with a stream audience where I talk with you guys or whatever. It was just me talking to myself constantly. So imagine me playing a game, and I have to fill this dead air. This game has a lot of dead air. No one's even talking. You're just fighting zombies. So constantly, I would try to fill the dead air with comments like that. And people would find it very fun. Because they're like, wow, here's a guy. He's just dicking around in the game. He's not taking himself seriously. He's just enjoying himself for what the game is. And he's off the cuff, ridiculous comments, but they're meant to be silly. No one listened to that comment and said, wow, Phil really hates Asian people because he made that comment. No one took it that way. Today, if you make commentary like that, people would be so offended. They'd be flagging your videos constantly. They'd be you know what I mean? So, it is what it is. Times change. Things change. Honestly, I do enjoy my modern day gameplay a lot better because I don't have to fill tons of dead air. I can just relax with you guys and talk and have a good time and enjoy games for what they are rather than me having to constantly joke about them. But it's fun to go back every once in a while and watch the past and where you came from. And again, this was 2010. So this is not even 2 full years into me being a YouTuber doing this. And people liked this back then. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I will admit, it's tired. You know what I mean? Like, over time, things need to change. Things need to evolve. I don't think that if I was still doing this kind of commentary in 2023, even if people weren't offended by it, all right? I don't think this would work. I think that this would be more like, this is for a certain audience. Back then, everyone who watched my content was like a teenager or a young adult. They liked that kind of irreverent humor. I was going for basically South Park in gameplay. Does that make sense? I think that's the best way to describe it. It was like South Park level humor in gameplay, and people liked that. But over time, people grew out of that and wanted different stuff. So that's why you watch it today. We all laugh, we're laughing, but it's like, all right, well, yeah, but obviously we're not doing that now, right?
It's weird how someone like Phil used the excuse of dead air for his racism. Just saying whatever he wanted and call it commentary. If he learned to edit his videos, he'd be able to cut out all of the dead air, like most Let's Players do. They could have also been a bit more entertaining. He thinks he doesn't do that type of humor nowadays, but he'd still use the stereotypical Asian accent now and then. Then there's Phil's sense of humor. He's like Patch Adams, but for kids in wheelchairs and not cancer patients. See, DSP? That's why you call it a dark joke. A 42-year-old man that wears silly hats, shoots bubble guns, begs for money, and tells scat jokes. Ack, ack, ack.
Lord Prince Albert did a super chat. I hope Grimace drops a log on 672 and has 20 DJ Khaled's dance on his coin purse so he can now have a relaxing sleep tonight. Well, no, see, here's the thing. Grimace is incapable of dropping logs. All he can do is make Grimace shakes out of his butthole. And what he does, he fills the cup up, and then they sell it to McDonald's, and that's how Grimace makes a living, and that's how McDonald's came up with the shake. So all it is anal juice, purple anal juice in a cup. D-Man asked, did I ever see Weekend in Bernie's? Now I have seen that movie. However, even more pertinent than that, recently I spent a weekend at Grimace's. Let me tell you, the entire place is a veritable lake of purple shit liquid. I mean, from head to toe, like ceiling to floor, everything is purple, dripping, sopping. It's absolutely disgusting. But that's why he's filthy rich, because he sold all that to McDonald's. Anyway. Alright. I think it's time to continue on with the game now. What do you think?
I love comedy, and Phil talking about scat this way is just cringe. Phil isn't funny when he tries to be, and more people should be calling him out on how his scat humor was never funny. He lacks any personality to make a successful commentary, and just can't tell a joke. I'd just like to remind DSP that dark humor isn't an excuse for your racism. There wasn't any joke made, and saying the ethnicity in a voice isn't funny. I'll end this video with a quote from one of my favorite movies of all time, The King of Comedy. It's better to be a king of a night than a schmuck for a lifetime.